Okay, hello everybody. My name is Sachiko Nakagome. I'm here to do the session called Community Building in Online Classes. And let me just screen share what I'm about to talk about today. So building a community, what does that even mean, right? We'll go through the definitions as well. But for now, today I'm going to talk about first of all, the notes. While I'm giving the presentation, feel free to use the Zoom chat for questions or comments. I'll try to pay attention to that as much as possible. And after my speaking session, there'll be a shared document where everybody can share their own ideas and opinions. Here is the link. I will put that, I will put that into the Zoom chat later. Okay, and just a note to everyone, this session is meant to be for low-tech teachers like myself. So if you're a high-tech person, I would love for you to share, but please use simple, clear explanations, like speak English, please, is my only request. Okay, and the outline of what I'm going to talk about. A simple introduction about myself, why I chose this topic, the three main methods that I chose in an attempt to build a community in my classroom. And then student responses, I conducted my own personal survey in addition to the university evaluation form. And then in the end, if we have time, we might do breakout rooms, or we might just do the shared document. We'll see how that goes. Okay. So about myself, I'm a part-time teacher at 4 different universities. I teach 16 COMA, which is a lot. Half the classes I teach are compulsory courses, which means kids don't really want to be there. So this is why I'm making more of an effort, because in the classes that I'm going to talk about today, they're compulsory courses. They don't necessarily like English. They don't want to come to class. So I try to make it fun as much as possible. In terms of English levels of my students, I teach at 2 higher level universities, Rikkyo University and Kanagawa University. And the lower levels are Rissho, and Komazawa is kind of in between, so I didn't really place it here. Okay. And why did I choose this topic? Well, as you know, 2020 and 2021, classes were mainly online, and students were feeling isolated. They wanted to engage in casual, normal conversations with classmates. My students were telling me that last year they made no friends. First-year students last year made no friends after all those classes. And they were saying they never had a chance to really talk in other classes. So I wanted to make sure that my classes were a place where students can feel like they're actually a part of a class, that they have shared laughter, inside jokes that only students who take this class would know. And I wanted them to get to know each other. And I wanted that to also be a part of the curriculum so that I don't feel like I'm wasting my class time. I wanted to make sure that my class time and the assignments that I wanted them to do happen to be interactive and engaging so that I don't feel like I'm wasting my class time. Okay. And what is a classroom community? This is something that I found online. It's a place where students feel a sense of belonging. I think this is so important during the pandemic. People especially first-year students, they join a club, but everything is on Zoom, so they don't feel a sense of belonging in their club either, and they don't feel it in class. A classroom community is a safe place, and it's where teachers and students coexist. I made sure that I was part of the community too. I didn't just like throw kids into breakout rooms and say, hey, have a good time. Like, I made sure that I was a fuel, I was an engine in that community. This website also suggests that it's a place where teachers give extra care to the students. So teachers are provided with the opportunity to teach their students responsibility, respect, and approach the problems confidently. So after reading this, I told myself, okay, I have to demonstrate how I want them to behave, how I want them to write in their diaries that they shared with the class, and to be respectful of each other. I told them, you can be goofy, you can be casual, you can use all the slang that you want, but you have to be respectful. No bad mouthing other classmates, obviously. You can complain about other classes, getting too much homework and this teacher's not the best, but, try to be respectful. Try not to make this just a place where people vent, make it constructive. And I kind of demonstrated that by making my own sample diary entries and such. Okay, another addition to the classroom community. It creates interest in listening to others' opinions, committing to work, responding, practicing, and organizing. Yes, this I really felt as the weeks went on. I could really feel that the students were reading each other's comments, really responding to it on a personal level. I'll share some examples with you later, but this was a big part of why I think my students felt a sense of community in my class. Okay. And it says here, empathy is the most important trait among students. Empathy, a lot of that was seen, a lot of the diary entries that the students wrote were about, oh, I've got too much homework, I'm so exhausted. People saying, yeah, I hear you, man, me too. Like, I'm also feeling overwhelmed, or like, I'm really nervous about making friends. Me too. I'm not really good at communicating either. So there was a lot of empathy between the students. And I made sure that that came out naturally, and that was an important part of, I felt that was an important part of building the classroom community. Okay, so my three main methods, as you can see, they're very, very low tech. I use the Zoom chat, and I'll show you examples of what kind of questions I presented. This shared diary is an online document, is a shared document where people write their own diary entries into it. Except we have 30 students, all the students in the class writing into the same thing. If you speak Japanese, or if you're familiar with the Japanese culture, we have what we call kokan nikki, which literally translates to a diary that you exchange with friends. So my concept was, let's do a kokan nikki, a shared diary with the entire class so that we get to know each other. So that was one thing. The second thing. The last thing is just a shared Google Doc. This I used for two purposes. This is kind of like the class notes. During class, I would, whatever I needed my student to see on the screen share, I just use that to make sure that all the kids got a better view of things. And it was a great opportunity for students to write in them as well, and I could see them in real time. I'll go into each of these a little bit further. So the Zoom chat, at the beginning of the lesson, I would always say, hey, how are you? Write 1 if you're feeling great. Write 2 if you're feeling okay. Write 3 if you're feeling tired, upset, exhausted. And then boom, everybody, all 30 students would write numbers, 1, 2, or 3. And then instantly I would know if my students were feeling tired or great. If they were feeling tired, I would ask a couple of them, so why is it that you're so tired, Yusuke? And they'll say, oh, too much homework, And then the important part was the bantering that came after. I didn't just collect the answers. I made sure to banter with a couple of students to tell me why is it that they're tired or upset or feeling great. Sometimes the kids would offer a little bit more information. They say, oh, I feel great. I got a new job. I love it. If they do, I would definitely ask them about it and get the student to speak up. And I would say, oh, does anybody have questions for Yusuke who just got a new job? And as the weeks went on, students became more comfortable using the Zoom chat to get to know each other. I also used this to ask them about the homework or the textbook. Was it too difficult? Do you need extra explanation, paragraph by paragraph explanation? I used the Zoom chat to find out that. Also, sometimes I would just say, what's your favorite summer dessert? And everybody writes about their favorite summer dessert. And it was just fun. If 15 out of 30 wrote the same thing, it's like, oh, we all love Gari Gari Kun in this class. That's so awesome. I'm a huge fan too. So anything to warm up the class. This had two purposes: to give students a chance to get to know each other, but also kind of warm up in terms of using English. I didn't want their I didn't want the students to come into class thinking, oh, I have to write something boring. I wanted the first writing assignment in English to be something fun. Okay, I got a question in the Zoom chat. Thank you, Glenn. Is this what you do in all of your required courses? Yes, I do this in all my courses, required or elective, just to check in. And are they designated as oral communication classes? No, I don't teach OC this year. Most of my classes are writing and electives, which are like translating, interpreting, and journalism. And the shared diaries were the Zoom chats I did in every single class. The shared diaries I did in my writing classes to give them more opportunities for interactive writing. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Glenn. Thank you for that. Another thing I did with the Zoom chat is elicit answers. So instead of asking one person to tell me what's the answer to question one, I would say, okay, everybody write into the Zoom chat your answers to question one. It could be A, or it could be a numbering thing. The great thing is all the students see the answers at once. So they kind of know, oh, wait, my answer is different from everybody else. Oh no. And I can see instantly how much of the class understands or doesn't understand this question. So this was, it was fun. And especially when most of the students got it wrong, it was super fun. It's like, oh, so everybody thinks it's B. Well, it's actually not. And I would give them a second chance. It's okay, if it's not B, what do you think it is? I kind of made it into a game. So again, it's more fun and interactive, and it's not just like one checking in or not. Okay. Susan wrote in the Zoom chat, that also keeps them engaged if they have to keep responding on chat. Yes, yes, a student of mine wrote that in the school university evaluation form. They're like, I couldn't even go to the bathroom. I couldn't zone out because the teacher was always asking questions on the Zoom chat or calling out names. So like, oh, I was kept on my toes. So thank you for that, Susan. I also use the Zoom chat to give students choices. For the final test, I asked them, okay, do you want to do presentations or do you want to take a written test? And again, instantly you get everybody's responses. So it was kind of fun for them. It's like, I hope it gave them a sense of ownership over their learning and what we did in class. Okay, so in terms of Zoom chats, this is what my students said in my survey. So did the Zoom chat help them feel a sense of community? Unfortunately, less than half. I did the survey in two classes, the lower level English writing class and the higher level English class. And in both classes, like 50%, unfortunately. But the unexpected and happy thing was 75% of lower level classes and, and 90% of higher level classes enjoyed reading their peers' answers. This was unexpected. I didn't think they would enjoy it that much. Another thing is 100% of kids in my lower level class appreciated being given choices over, presentation or written exam. 89% of my higher level classes. So there were unexpected consequences that were good for the students, hopefully. Another thing I thought it would be easier for the students to ask questions over Zoom chat rather than interrupting the class by speaking up using their microphones. So I asked them, okay, was it easier to ask questions compared to speaking up? But only half of the students said yes. This was unexpected. Knowing Japanese student personalities, I thought everybody would be like, yeah, Zoom chat would be better, but no. Okay, moving on. The shared diaries. So this is how we did it. And this I did with universities that did not have an LMS with blog functions. Moodle, Blackboard, they all have blog functions. So if we were using Moodle or Blackboard, I would use that. Some universities were not. So I had to establish a separate Google document. And what we did is everybody writes diary entries into it. It could be for lower level classes, 5 sentences minimum, higher level classes, 5 to 10 sentences. And in lower level classes, I had them do the diary entries and the commenting both during class time. I asked them if they were confident enough to do this as homework all by themselves at home. And they're like, no, they needed to they needed me to check their grammar or word choice, or they wanted to ask me during class, oh, I want to say this, how do I say it in English? So for the lower level class, I made the writing of the diary in class, as well as commenting. In the higher level classes, the diary entries were homework. Kids did it in their free time, so that we don't spend too much class time on this. But the commenting was done in class. The first 15 minutes of class, I would say, okay, just go to the shared documents and the shared diary and read what everybody else did this week. And they were able to comment on it. I think this was important because the fact that they were doing it in class, it made sure that everybody read other people's comments. And each student was able to see other students' comments on their diary entries, which is fun. Obviously, you're not writing it for just the teacher, you're writing it for an audience, and you literally see in real time people say, oh, me too. It's like, oh, that's great, I had fun. Okay, I'm getting some questions in the Zoom chat, so let me answer those. Susan asked, comments were made directly in the diary? Yes. So let me show you the example of a diary. I made a PDF of that. Okay. Here we go. So this is a PDF of a shared diary that was online. So the topic is at the top. This was important. Unless you give a common topic, students are at a loss of what to write about, and especially because they're not really going anywhere or doing anything special during the coronavirus. They've told me, I have no idea what to write about. So I gave them a common topic. So this week, June 17th, was, how do you feel about going back to face-to-face classes? What are you looking forward to? What are you concerned about? And the main entry would be this. Okay, let's see. Yuki says, I think it'll be fun, but I worry about the number of infected people will increase. So I definitely live with care. Oh, this is the lower level class, by the way. That's why it's in Japanese and English. And then whoever wants to comment on this original comment will put ... So this ... signals this is a comment and not the original post. So Yohei responds by saying, I'm worried about getting infected. Let's hang out while preventing infection. Yuki says, let's do our best not to get infected. So this is how the format was done. Okay. And let's see, another thing that I really appreciated was kids being really open and vulnerable about themselves. So Haruki says, I'm a little nervous about going back to face-to-face. I'm concerned about my poor communication skills. Like, this person was really afraid that even if he went to school, maybe he won't be able to make friends because he's not really good at speaking. So other students jump in and encourage him. Yuki's like, don't be nervous. Oh, me too. I'm also not good at communication. And the fact that students were supporting each other, encouraging each other, that was really, really a great thing, I feel, in terms of students feeling supported by each other and feeling heard, that their concerns are being validated. Okay. So we have a lot of kids saying, I'm afraid of COVID. I'm concerned if I can make friends. Me too. I don't know how to make friends. It says here, I want to talk to you. That was really sweet. You know? So if people remember each other's names from these shared diaries, they can contact each other or when they see each other in class. Okay, I have another question in the Zoom chat. How long were the diaries for the lower level students? Good question. I said just minimum 5 sentences. I didn't give them a word count, just a minimum 5 sentences. And in terms of time, it really depended on the topic. If it was about if the topic was complicated, like what do you do to prevent being infected with the coronavirus, they needed a lot of help. So that would take up 15 to 20 minutes just for the writing. But other times, I think we can finish in like 10 minutes, the original post. So 10 minutes of posting original comments, and then another 10 minutes for commenting on people's posts. And I think I told them they have to comment on at least 3 classmates' posts. Okay, and so this is the lower level class. The higher level class, as you can see, is a little bit longer, and they were allowed to post pictures, post links to video. And as you can see, their writing, their English is a lot more casual. I want to try it, or like, wow, it looks delicious. And I also made sure that I took part in this. So that's me, Sachiko. OMG, this looks so yummy. This is me demonstrating this is how casual you can get. I know that this is a university academic writing class, but this is not an academic writing task. And here, the kids in this class were very active. They sought other people's recommendations, or they gave recommendations for the best video games, or the best drinks. They talked about their routines. They're actively seeking their classmates' opinions on things. So this was great. Okay, let's go back to the slide. Okay, hopefully this gave you an idea of how the shared diaries work. And in class, of course, we would banter about the popular entries. I would say, so this week, this entry got a lot of responses. So-and-so, you go, please show us, please open your camera on Zoom and show us your collection of stuffed animals. And since we were at home, kids were able to share things that were in their bedroom. There's this one great session where everybody showed us their collection of whatever, collection of comic books, stuffed animals, and it was hilarious and fun. And we really got to know each other on a personal basis. And there were a lot of inside jokes stemming from that. Okay. Student reactions to the shared entries. This got the most reaction in terms of I felt a sense of community. So in the higher level classes, 80% of kids said, I really felt a sense of community. And I think it's because, like I said, they were a lot more active in using this, actively seeking advice, seeking recommendations, giving recommendations. So that was great. In the lower level class, almost 70% of students said they felt a sense of community. So I think this is, for me, a success. Okay. And I asked other questions as well and got happy consequences. So 100%, every single person in the lower level class said, I appreciated getting immediate feedback from the teacher on their writing, because during class, as they're writing the shared diaries, I would go in and check. It's like, oh, did you mean this? Like, I would offer them better word choices, or if their grammar was a little bit screwed and I couldn't understand what was being said, I would check it for them. And so every single student got immediate teacher feedback every single week. And it seems they really appreciated this, which I was not expecting. So that was great. In the higher level class, they did not require much feedback because their English levels were so high. And I think that's why only 60% said, I appreciate immediate feedback. But 60% is still not bad. And in the next question was, I enjoyed sharing my writing with other students. 100% of higher level class students said that they did enjoy sharing their writing, probably because they're more confident than the lower level students and they had a lot they wanted to say. In the lower level classes, 80% said they enjoyed sharing their writing. The last question was, did it motivate you to attend class or study English? And 95% of lower level students said yes, which was a huge gain for me. 95% of kids who, hey, don't necessarily like English, they don't want to be in this class, they were motivated to come to class. And 70% of the higher level class said yes. And this is more because they were already motivated. These are English majors. The higher level class was an English major. The lower level class was a psychology major. So I think the English majors were already motivated to study English on their own. Okay, I'm looking at the Zoom chat comments from you guys. Miss G, oh, Cassandra, Cassie. I do something very similar with journal entries, but I love how they are done in the same Google document so you can see everyone typing. Yes. In Moodle and Teams, usually my students wouldn't see anything until their classmates finished and posted. Interesting. Thank you for sharing that, Cassie. Okay, Glenn has a question. Do you have data to compare with these questions before you use these teaching techniques? No, I don't, Glenn. I wish I did. I wish I did. I only took surveys of this year. I have not conducted similar surveys in the past, but thank you for the question. Okay, moving on. The last technique that I tried was something that probably all of you have been doing all your teaching lives, but I did it for the first time in 2020 and 2021. So these are shared Google documents called class notes. So all the students write sentences or paragraphs simultaneously during class. That way the teacher can check work as they write, which means less time for me to check assignments in my after class. I tried to do as much as I can during class. And another benefit was that students, again, get immediate feedback. Another benefit was students get to organize their thoughts on paper, on digital paper, before speaking up. Last year, in my journalism class, I would ask my students really difficult questions, like without any warning. I would just say, hey, what do you think of this? And a lot of students didn't know what to say. They didn't know how to say it in English. And we spent a lot of time just waiting for students to collect their thoughts. And that was very uncomfortable, and it was not a good use of the class time. That's why I started having everybody write their opinion on the shared doc, so that whoever has already collected or organized their thought can finish writing first, and I can have them speak up first. Or the lower level students, I can check their writing first to make sure I understand what they're trying to say before they spoke up in front of the class. And that gave them confidence as well. It's like, oh, well, the teachers checked my content. I know it's okay. Also, mid-semester in 2020 spring, there were a lot of students who could not join my Zoom class for whatever reason, Wi-Fi problems. For those students, I let them join the class via this document. I wrote at the top of the page, if you're unable to join Zoom, but you are present, write your name here and write your answers and questions and opinions here in this shared document. So that was an unexpected twist, but this was very handy sometimes. Right, and what did the students think about this? Sense of community? Not so much. Unfortunately, 60% of lower level class, 50% of the higher level class. But 100% of my lower level students appreciated the immediate teacher feedback. 77% of the higher level class appreciated the immediate feedback. Other questions. I enjoyed sharing my writing with other students. 90% of higher level class. Wow, that was unexpected. And even 87% of the lower level class students. I didn't think that lower level students would enjoy having their writing seen by other students. I thought they would be more self-conscious, but no, 87% liked it. And the last question, did this motivate you to attend class or study English? 80% of the higher level class and 86% of the lower level class, which is not bad, When I first started this, I wasn't intending it to be a motivational thing. So yeah, I'm very happy about this result. Okay, all right, let's go on to the next slide. So my conclusion, only half of the students felt a sense of community from shared documents and Zoom chats, but 68 to 80% did feel a sense of community for the shared diaries. So I will definitely continue all of these things, but especially the shared diaries. And I'm hoping to add more components to the shared diaries to make it even more engaging and more fun for the students. So if you have any ideas, I would love for you to share them in the shared documents that I'll give to you later. And another thing is almost 100% of students appreciated immediate teacher feedback on writing. And 70 to 90% felt these methods motivated them to continue to attend classes or study English. So all three of them got really, really great feedback in terms of getting feedback from the students. So I think I will try to give more feedback using these shared Google documents and the Zoom chats and whatnot. It was something that I was not expecting to get this much response from. Okay, and I'm reading a comment from the Zoom. Maybe the percentage is low because they keep comparing it to face-to-face classes. Maybe, Cassie, thank you. Yeah, they could be. maybe if I do this in the fall semester, they'll be comparing it to online classes. Yeah, and maybe next time I could be clear. Compared to other online classes, did this motivate you too? Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so I have done enough talking. I would love to hear from all of you about what if you've done anything similar, if you have any other ideas, not just about the 3 methods that I suggested, but other ideas for engaging your students. So I'm going to put in the Zoom chat, I just put in the Zoom chat a link to the document that I've prepared. Please go to that. I'm going to stop sharing right now. Okay, so please go to the shared document that I've prepared for our class. And let's see what, if any, the participants here have to say. Okay, also, if anybody has a comment or a question that they'd like to just ask verbally, please feel free to just turn on your mics and ask or comment.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sachiko.
Yes.
Okay. Hi. I also teach at Lisho.
Oh, great.
I teach econ students, and I think it's a really different group. And psychology, you said your lower level classes were psychology majors, but at Lisho, they're pretty good. It's a really good program. So they tend to be higher. I know because I have a friend who's taught in both econ and psychology, and she says it's a big difference. So I'm wondering if you think that that's part of why, because even with lower level students, they were psychology students, they were so responsive to the idea of community sharing and sharing feelings and things like that, more supportive of each other. I don't know. I was just kind of curious about that.
I think that definitely has something to do with it. I mean, a lot of my students want to be counselors. They chose psychology because they like helping people. They want to help people. So yeah, I never thought about it, but yes, definitely. And in terms of English levels, even within the psychology department, I've had like classes that were more high level than the other. So it really depends on the class. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Julie. Glenn, you have your hand up.
Yeah, like it says, lots of questions, guy.
Much appreciated.
One's a real quick one. Did you grade the diaries in any way? Because I know you required them to write a certain thing. Okay. The other one is for the academic writing classes that you had, I'm getting a false sense of what they were actually getting graded on. What were the academic writing projects?
Oh, writing it
sounds very super casual.
The thing, so the diaries, they got points if they actually participated. I didn't grade in terms of quality, obviously, because I wanted it to be fun. And the things they got graded on, the lower level class had to write 2 paragraphs, and the higher level students had to write a 1,000 word essay. And that's
the
what
end of semester project? Yes. Okay.
So the diary was purely engaging, interactive, and fun activity. And I didn't want them to worry. I didn't want them to think, oh, if I complained about the university, I'm going to get a lower score. I didn't want them to worry about that. So, okay, great. Thank you, Glenn. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to share the screen, our class notes, to see what's been said here. Okay. So, use of shared diaries. Nick says, I've used Google Slides with each slide having a student name. Easy to post pictures and easy for students to find and comment. That sounds great. Nick, do you recommend that? As opposed to one big thing?
One of the issues that I had with using Google Docs was that I often had students accidentally deleting each other's work. And so, like they start to type a comment, they make a mistake, they start deleting, and then suddenly they've accidentally deleted further than they expected or something. And so Google Slides, because each student had a slide with their name on, it was, more clear where something started and ended. The other thing I found with Google Docs was that depending on the Wi-Fi, internet, they were seeing it being written at different paces.
Oh, okay.
And so that also sometimes created some weird things where someone was typing where someone else was supposed to be. But otherwise, it worked well. It worked well.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't use it as a diary. I think I just used it as it was a verbal conversation class. So I used it as a place for them to know what to talk to each other about when they went into breakout rooms.
Okay, that sounds great. Jose, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I actually stepped out for a sandwich maybe about 5 minutes ago. So I'm not sure if you've touched on this, but the material that you use for the main part of the class where you do the assessments and you give them their tests and stuff, have you used that curriculum before the pandemic? And were you able to take anything as a result from this sort of community building activity in conjunction with the normal curriculum to see what kind of effect it may or may not have had under performance on the normal part of the curriculum that you were using before the pandemic? I know that's kind of tough because, there's no control group or anything, but is there anything that you observed in that sense?
I've actually not done any of these in regular face-to-face classes. Yeah, in face-to-face classes, I didn't feel the need to do it digitally. It's like, okay, let's just all chit chat. Even in the start of the spring 2021 semester, the first 2 weeks are face-to-face. So instead of doing this digital writing thing, it's like, you're right there, talk to each other. Okay,
Right.
Here's a topic, groups of 3 or 4.
Right.
So I don't really have anything to compare to.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a look. Cassie. Okay. Stephanie. I did something similar on the LMS Moodle, but students only saw the posts that were completed, so not in progress. Yeah. Sometimes I assigned topics, but other times I told students to come up with their own ideas. Oh, that's a good idea. How was that? Stephanie, were they able to come up with their own ideas for topics?
Yeah, they were able to, and it was really fun for me because they came up with ideas that I hadn't thought of.
Great. Okay. And it says, I also had students comment on each other's posts and told them that as the due date approaches, the students who are about to write comments should see who hasn't received any comments yet and comment on those. Oh yeah, that's very nice. That's something I debated. Like, I don't want to force everybody to comment on entries that they weren't interested in, but I kind of felt bad that some students were not getting any responses. But again, the purpose was to have fun, so I didn't force it. Okay, Linda says, I used shared docs last year and students really liked the task. Each student had a page in the doc, and week by week, they added to their page to introduce themselves to each other. Cool. They added pictures and explained them. It's great. Linda, this sounds great. Can you tell us a little bit more about this? So it's like their portfolio, like each student had their own portfolio?
The student's textbook was, it was a speaking class, but we were online. And so I had them write their self-introductions that they would then present to the class. And in the past, I would just have them bring pictures and hold it up to the class, but I had them put the pictures into the document and then show it on the Zoom slide share. And students could introduce themselves. And everybody thought that they had a much better feeling of who their classmates were. They were able to see people without their masks on and get to know each other. And this was a class of first-year students, a very low level, but they liked it.
Oh, that sounds great. So everybody was given a link to everybody else's pages?
It was just a shared Google Doc. So they all had the same document. And it was in the Google Classroom, and they could go and add their information to their page.
I see. That sounds great.
So it became a very, very long document, but you can use the search function and find the person's name to go to the next presentation.
Right.
So it worked I had a small class, so it worked really well.
How many students were in the class?
Only 6.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up having to copy and paste the old diary entries because the document was just getting so heavy.
Right, right.
Or 30 kids writing in it every week.
The other thing you could do is start a new weekly diary and have a new document each week.
Right, right. I wanted to keep the link the same every single time. So what I did was just copy and paste and keep onto a PDF. But I put the PDFs into our Google Drive so that if anybody wanted to look at an old one, they could.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Susan says that must have been a huge document by the end of the semester.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Other ideas on how to build a community. Susan says, I loved your shared diary idea. You have convinced me to start using Google Docs. The way I tried to do something similar was by using moderated comments in the LMS Edmodo. Susan, can you tell us a little bit about this? I've never used Edmodo.
Yeah, Edmodo is just another LMS, kind of similar to Google Classroom or any of those. And I came upon the idea somewhere, I don't remember where, of using moderated comments on a specific question within the feed or the timeline, the general area on our class page. And I would do this when I wanted students to respond to a specific question without looking at other students' responses. I wanted them to have like a fresh response. And so I would moderate them once everybody had their response, and I would just okay them all. And then they could look at all of the responses all at once and we would talk about them. But it was sort of too controlled. I think that I was trying to control too closely. And what I see that you did with your diaries was much more organic, and students felt more free to just, comment. And it just felt, it feels a lot more community building, which is what you're going for. It feels a lot more like students would be more willing to participate and interact in that kind of situation rather than what I was doing. So I'm not suggesting that what I was doing is a good alternative, but it's sort of like what I was trying to do was similar to what you were trying to do, but I didn't have very good results. So yeah.
And what made you think that you didn't get good results?
I don't know, because students wouldn't really comment on each other's answers freely. So it was just like, okay, here's my answer, I'm finished. Yeah. But I'm so inspired to see the empathy and the comments between students and trees. So I'm definitely going to try something similar to this in my classes. This is such a good idea.
Yeah, I think that you needed it.
Yeah.
Yes, Jose.
I don't know how strict you want to be with yourself with your allotted time, but it's actually 2:45, believe it or not. But if you want to keep going, we got another 15 minutes at least, or 15 minutes until the next presentation starts.
Okay. Well, let's say for people who have plans, let's officially end it. If you would like to stay and share ideas, I have extra time if you would like. Okay, so for those of you who need to go, thank you so much. Oh, I should stop screen sharing for this.
Sachiko?
Yes.
Jose, mine is the next talk and it won't be on Zoom, so you can monopolize this room forever.
If
You're
you
not
don't,
using Zoom?
We're not using Zoom for my talk, remember?
Actually, Glenn, we can't really do that because it's unmoose-like.
Okay.
You see, one of the big things about the moose is that nobody competes for an audience.
Okay, whatever you say, boss.
Sorry, but
Nope.
That's right.
That's right. Adam's the boss.
Since when?
Okay, Sachiko, we're taking your time. Go.
Okay, so for those of you who have to go, thank you so much for participating. Thank you for all the questions and advice. If you'd like to stay on, please stay on. If not, we can continue this conversation in an OTJ thread as well, if that's okay. Yes. Okay, so thank you so much. If you can stay, please stay until 3 p.m. If not, thank you so much. Clap, clap. Empathy for everyone.
I didn't even get a chance to actually encourage everyone to clap for you, so I'm going to do that right now. You know what might be interesting is maybe we can get you on OTJ TV about all this.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, we could do that. I would like everybody. I feel like I don't have anything more to say. I've already told you everything. So it all depends on the participants to share their ideas, I feel like.
I obviously, I think we can see that lots of people want to share. So if you lead that conversation, I mean, that's George was talking about the culture of OTJ. The culture of OTJ is throw out one sentence and everybody will start finishing the paragraph for you.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I would definitely love
I'll
to
talk
do
to
that.
Dave about it.
Okay, all right. Can I just talk about one more thing that has been written into our class notes, just because I'm interested in this. Okay, I'm not sure who wrote this. I created a suite of big blue button rooms on Moodle for students to go to 24/7 and chat in any language, except one room was English only. It was set up to give them a chance to meet with or without cameras and get contacts. Or if they wanted to stay and talk, they could too. This sounds great. Who wrote this and can you tell us more?
The
Who
big
gave
blue
it?
buttons rooms.
Yeah.
That might have been Glenn.
Oh, did he already? Oh, are you here, Glenn? Glenn, can you hear
I
us?
think Glenn's actually already taken off to go and get started in his next room.
Okay.
But I also did that. So
Okay, can you tell us about this? I have no idea what this is about.
so Big Blue Button is quite different to Zoom in that you don't actually need to have a host for the room to exist. So it makes it easier to set up rooms so that the students can just go in and do whatever they want to do, talk with fellow students and everything like that, sort of securely, because it's authenticated by the Moodle. So it's behind the Moodle. Only people who have an account on the Moodle can access it. So only the students can access it, but all the students can access it. So,
okay. Do you know if, Adam, in your class, do you know if kids actually used it to meet up socially?
Yes, they did. I actually set one up that would send me an email address, email every single time students actually went into it. And yeah, ping, 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 got a lot of them. And I switched off that email alert very quickly.
That's great.
I got a lot of email.
Well, how often were kids getting together?
So at first they didn't really know how to meet up with other people, and so it was sort of few and early on. Lots and lots of emails came because they would open the room, close the room, open the room, close the room, open the room, close the room. Mm-hmm. But after a while, then they started bumping into each other, and they'd open the room and it'd stay open for an hour. Okay. And then they'd close it, and then an hour or so later, I'd get another ping. Okay. So, things like that.
I tried to do the same using Google Meets. I told them, okay, you guys should get together for lunch, have lunch together over Google Meets. I won't be there, but I've opened the link. And I felt the need to designate a time and date because of those issues. Like I didn't want people to not have any idea when other classmates were going to come. So I said Monday lunch right after class.
Mm-hmm. Can we have a Zoom cute pet break?
We sort of did that as well, though. We when I set mine up, anyway, the first thing that I set it up was just any time. And then I just said, okay, lunch times. And when I said lunchtime, just had the word lunchtime written, join us for lunch. Mm-hmm. That's all I had. I didn't actually specify what time it is, but the students started bumping into each other with a lot greater frequency after that.
Oh, that's great. Maybe I'll try that.
So I'm gonna ask again. Susan, can we have a cute pet break?
What is that?
Yeah, go.
Okay. I'm gonna go and
see you, bud. I'll be there soon.
Catch up.
Hello.
Is this something you do in class? A cute pet break?
I would do it all the time. Except
do it. I do it. I was shocked. I said, anybody who has a pet in their lap right now, please lift it up. And like 5 people.
Yeah. I would do it. I would do it. Unfortunately, my dear little babies have gone on past the Rainbow Bridge. Oh. So it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But I would do it. Definitely would do it.
It really raised the spirits of everybody in class, though, when I did that.
Or when, I don't know if you noticed this, I forget if it was in a session or it was on Sessions TV. Alex Burke, who has a cat, was like intently trying to do something on her phone while her camera was on, and then just in the frame is her cat's tail walking past her like a periscope on a submarine, and they just walk right past, and she didn't notice, and everybody was smiling.
That is so funny.
That's the sort of
Cassie-
thing that actually, not inadvertently, but just coincidentally, just raises the spirits of the room, like Susan says,
And do you give them a chance to talk about their pets?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
why
What's,
not?
what's your kitty's name? And oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I had a student last year. He had 2 dogs, and I asked what their names were, and he said Potato and Chip, and I was laughing for like 2 minutes. And I found out one of my students this past semester because I was showing my hamster Mochi, and then she said she had 2 rabbits, and I asked what their names were, and I forgot the other one, but one of her rabbits was Mochi, and that was a big bonding moment where she was embarrassed, but I was very excited. So yeah, I like bringing up pets. They usually don't mind. The students haven't like complained or anything. They're usually like, oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this was such a good session. Throughout all of these sessions, there are just little nuggets of gold that, I'm writing them all down in my pink pen here on my notebook. And this whole session was just such a big nugget for me too. I got something really good from this session. It's so fun. This has been such a fun week. Thank you so much, Sachiko.
Sachiko was convinced that this would be fine at 20 minutes. And I thought, it is not going to run 20 minutes. It is going to run at least longer than that. So, okay, 40 then. I don't know what I'm going to say for 40 minutes. Here we are, and we're still talking, right?
Yeah. No, I'm glad, Jose, that you insisted I do it longer. I was just more concerned. I don't have much to say. I'm low tech. I was afraid that everybody would be like, yeah, we do that. We've been doing that since like 10 years ago. What's new? So it's inferiority complex on my part.
That's one of the other things that I discovered about doing OTJ, the stuff that I took for granted. And I talked about this a bit about expertosis. Like once you get really good at something, it's hard to see it from the beginner's point of view anymore. So there's all the stuff that I know. And I think, well, everyone's got to know that. And everyone's got to know how to set up a microphone, right? And no, they don't.
No.
So there you go. Are you using the new iPhone, not the new iPhone, the iPhone setup right now?
No, I'm not actually. I did get the thing that you recommended that I get.
Oh, the cable. Great. Okay. So you're still looking to actually do that eventually, right?
Yeah. I totally forgot about this. I was more concerned about my PowerPoint slides and stuff. I didn't have composure.
Totally understandable. If everybody's wondering what we're talking about, Sachiko was looking to upgrade her web camera on her computer. And she said, oh, I don't know. Like I might have to get a new computer. I said, no, you don't. You got a great camera in here. And once you connect that camera to the computer, come in through the phone on a separate account, you use that phone's camera to point at you, and you use that camera on, you use the computer's camera off. They can still hear your voice through the computer, but they see the other account's camera, and that to them just basically conjoins as a total single Sachiko presence, right?
But what's the point of doing that?
Better camera.
It's a better camera than the camera inside the computer. Is that what you're using right now? The computer that's
even this 6S.
Even if I have a MacBook Pro, I'm at home right now. I'm not in my office, so this is a MacBook Pro. So it's not, the camera isn't as good as my phone.
When'd you buy it?
It's an iPhone 8.
No. When'd you buy the computer?
Oh, the computer, 2017.
Yeah. No. This is a 4K. This 6S has a 4K camera. It will whoop that computer's camera's butt.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know, Susan, do you remember the image on my computer from last year's summer sessions?
No.
It was crap. And now if you look at me, like if I put myself on spotlight, it's just so much clearer and there's so much more detail. At night, when I'm doing this from a lower lighted room, there's much less grain. It is just so much better.
But see, I look fine to me, but I'm not looking fine to everyone else. Is that what you're saying? Am I looking grainy or out of focus?
I suggest that if you already got the cables, that you actually take a look at what this looks like across Zoom on your computer, like record it, and you'll probably find this is better.
Wow. I had no idea.
Write that down in your notebook quick. Okay.
Yeah. I'm taking notes for sure. Yeah. Oh my gosh. another nugget.
Yeah. Well, people think right away that you got to buy a new computer, and Apple is actually really delinquent that way. They haven't upgraded the computer, the webcams in their computers until the next ones that are coming out. But until then, you already got this. And,
Right.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
I love that while you're explaining that, some people are like, what? I don't understand what the hell you're talking about. Me
Okay.
and Cassie.
I will do for you what I do for Sachiko and what I will do for everyone else. If you ask me, I will explain it to you one-on-one.
Yes.
Cool.
That's what I want to do for OTJ TV. Like if I'm hosting, I just want it to be about, okay, I will ask Jose all these tech questions and I want you to explain it as if you would to a 5-year-old.
Yes, I would tune into that. I would definitely tune into that. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Susan, let's brainstorm about questions that we need to ask.
Okay. And
Yes.
then can I ask you some questions and I'll pretend that I am a 5-year-old? No? All right.
Don't go there. I know what kind
Okay.
of questions you're going to ask.
No. Wait a minute. Where are you going?
No.
Okay. I got to go because Glenn's thing is going. You guys can stick around. But if you're going to stick around, I have to give somebody the host. And you cannot stick around any longer than 4 o'clock because that's when we need this room again.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But I got to go to the big blue button room. You guys going to stick around?
I actually want to, I need to actually go.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
I do too. So
I'm gonna
this
go
is my
too.
last session. I'm starting another seminar that starts later this afternoon in an hour. So this is my last OTJ session.
no
I'm
way.
so
You're not
glad
going to.
to end it on this.
Susan, I want to talk to you for a bit.
Oh, okay. I'll stay here
Jose,
for a few
make me
minutes.
the host.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make you the host, Linda. But Susan, you're not going to come to future of OTJ roundtable?
I think it's going to be during my next course.
Bummer.
It's
Okay.
a paid course. Yeah, I paid for it, so I'm gonna go.
Good to see you. Thank you for attending all the sessions. Thank you for
Thank
doing
you.
SS21 TV. I got to go, guys. Linda, you're the
Bye.
host.